All right, guys. We are back here at Shattered Darkness. Thank you guys for tuning back in. We're here with episode number 61. And as always, I'm joined by my buddy, co-host, Cash Case.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
And behind the camera is Elliot Osterus. Today, we have our guest. His name is Mike Pratt. And I'll introduce Mike here in just a second. But before I do that, I want to just take a quick second to plug our sponsors. The Love Shack Mocktail Bar on 4th Street in downtown Loveland. It's a big event center, mocktail bar. It's where we host our podcast in the basement. This place is awesome, man. Tons of games, tons of life, energy, and it's just a great spot for sobriety. So come on down to the Love Shack Mocktail Bar, 120 East 4th Street. And then I just want to take a quick moment to plug Elliot, Cash, and I's real estate businesses. Those have been the businesses that have been supporting this from day one. So Elliot runs a video design company around real estate, and Cash has a roofing company here in town, and then I do residential real estate. So those are our main businesses. Those are our main areas of focus. So if you guys are looking for any needs in those areas, please let us know. With that, we will get to our guest here. So I want to take a minute to introduce Mike Pratt. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me on here.
Yeah, thanks for being here, man. We really appreciate it. So Mike is your roommates with Elliot, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay,
correct.
right.
Yeah.
So they're roommates, and I don't know exactly how you guys met, but good friends. Yeah, so you can speak to that.
Yeah, roommates.
Yeah.
Met as roommates?
Yeah.
Like college situation? Like, hey, man.
First sober living, and then we went from one sober living to another. So we met in recovery.
Okay.
But yeah. But it's been going on 2 years now.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, he's actually my longest ongoing friend in this time in my recovery. So,
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, he's been solid helping me out, dude. Thank you.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So to kick this off, we just want to say a quick prayer, and I'm going to let Elliot grab the mic. And is it fair to say that you wrote this? Sure. Yeah. So Elliot wrote this. So
This is Elliot's brainchild.
yeah, I want to give Elliot the mic and just have a prayer on this episode.
All right. This is the dying of the old self. God, I don't come to you polished. I come to you undone. I offer you not my best self, but the one that clings, the one that fears, the one that still tries to earn love by shaping the world around me. I no longer want to edit my soul. I want to surrender it. Remove what is not mine to carry. Remove the architecture of addiction. Remove the parts of me built from wounds. I do not ask for clarity. I ask for presence. I ask for courage to remain empty long enough for something true to be born in me. I abandon my old ambitions, my need to be understood, my need to control the pace of my healing. And in their place, give me only what's real. I trust you with the self I am shedding. I trust you with the space I cannot yet fill. I am willing, and that is enough. Amen.
Amen.
Woo! Love that. That's good, dude.
Yeah, it was good.
So, Elliot read that to us this morning, and I was like, what? So, yeah, that's an incredible prayer, man. Thank you. So, with that, we're going to jump into Mike's story.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So, Cash, you want to kick us off here?
Yeah. So we kind of got a little bit, you know, Elliot. That's why that's what crossed our paths. But kind of, who are you and what's your background? What briefly what we're looking at?
Yeah. Well,
we talking to?
My name's Michael, whatever. My mom calls me Michael, but I go with whatever. I'm born and raised here in Colorado, Front Range. Was actually born in Longmont. From good family, middle class family. Growing up, I had it was good. It was a Catholic family, so grew up with good morals. Parents were great. My parents were amazing, not just great. They were amazing. I'm the youngest of four. I have two older brothers, an older sister. From a really young age, my folks tried really hard, keeping the structure, keeping the faith in the family. We had to be home every night for dinner time at 6 o'clock. That was like the one thing. We sat down, we said a prayer, we did that stuff. couldn't watch much TV. We had chore lists. It was very structured.
Yeah.
My parents tried to keep that going. From a really young age, when I was born, I was colicky. I cried all the time. Ultra sensitive to everything, touches, noises, sounds. I was very emotional and sensitive to everything. Like I said, even in people's emotions, I could just feel everything. I remember at a young age, everyone always asking, like, what's wrong with him? I was had that resting bitch face looking, something's going on.
So
something's
you
wrong.
remember that question being asked about you? What's wrong
All
with
the
him?
time. Yeah. It
That's
hurts
tough,
late. Yeah,
dude.
yeah. And actually later on in life, one of my older brothers, it was kind of a turning point for me. And he noticed how much that stuff bothered me. And I remember I was probably in like 6th grade by this time. And he's like, who wants to be normal? He's like, normal's boring, And he's the first person I said that. He's like, all the amazing people in the world think differently. And he really got me kind of thinking a little bit different perspective on things. But
Clip that, dude.
For a long time, I just felt very inadequate. I remember when I was younger too, like I said, I was ultra sensitive to everything. I remember I'd start hyperventilating. I get in fights all the time. People come up and like touch me and I think they'd hit me. Oh yeah, physical fights all
What
the time.
age are you talking here?
Anywhere from, I'd say, like preschool all the way till I started smoking weed.
Can I ask you, so for preschool, when you started smoking weed?
No. I didn't start smoking weed.
It's for sure. God help us.
I was young, but not that young.
4 years old.
I know I'm rolling, Jace.
Oh, that's like the fighting. How long did it last? It was pretty.
You mean how long did each fight last? Or?
No, I mean, I grew up fighting a lot too.
Yeah.
Right, and I was always terrified. I don't want to go into just a touch, man.
Yeah.
Like that period of your life from preschool to how old were you when you
felt like
started smoking weed?
I guess I'm a little confused on.
We were asking two different things now.
Yeah. Okay.
When did you start fighting?
Okay. I'd
Physically?
say as far back as I can remember.
Okay.
I mean,
When
I
did
was
that
young as
stop?
the family, so then I was fighting them at a really young age.
bet.
Absolutely. My brother would pick on me, my sister would pick on me, and because they, they're not that much older and they don't know what they're doing.
Sure.
But I mean, I remember my brother used to, I would blow up, he'd get on top of me, have his knees on me, and the whole. And what I didn't realize then, I was having panic attacks.
Yeah.
I'd hyperventilate. And I remember when they first talked about, like, you feel like you're going to die and you're breathing through a straw. Yes. Oh, man, I had that fucking feeling all the time. I curse a lot, so I apologize. I had that feeling all the time. I remember they brought me to the doctor and they thought I had asthma. So here's an inhaler, and I'm like, I'm hyperventilating all the time, and like hitting this inhaler. It's not doing anything for me.
Raise your heart rate.
Yeah. Exactly. What's that drug they call?
Albuterol.
And I guess that's probably makes it even worse, as you find out later. After with my siblings and all that, but I'd say about preschool, I can remember probably my first fight with people in school, and a lot of times it was somebody who was maybe really loud or obnoxious or something, and I thought they were attacking me or coming at me. And I remember always having that feeling. And, people coming up, I remember sometimes people just like hit me on the shoulder and I'd turn around and punch them,
Where do you think that came from so young?
I think it was just a part of my genetic makeup, honestly. I don't think it was trauma-based at all. My folks were amazing. They really were so supportive in every way. I know I put my mom in like kind of a bit of a depression probably, I'm sure I did. I remember them bringing me into therapy when I was probably in like 2nd grade and trying to figure out, why is he so sad? What's going on? Because I just seemed like a pretty miserable kid, There were certain things that I found joy in, absolutely, but I was pretty sad most of the time.
Do you think that was mostly just the internal structure, like emotional, do you feel like that as you got older, and I know you got into drugs and things like that, but do you ever feel like there was a point in your life where you learned how to manage that stuff?
I'm still learning.
Right on.
Do you think that there was a start to that? That's a great answer because we all are, right? But do you think that there was a pathway open to that?
Drugs and alcohol.
Outside of that is what I'm asking.
Well, I think that's a part of the whole. I had to learn some of that. That was one thing that helped with a lot of this, but then it worked till it didn't, right? And it made everything way worse. And Absolutely. I think I've learned little bits and pieces over my entire life, but in the moment when it's going on, I can't tell what it is. So later on in life, especially on this journey, I'll get into that a little bit more, but I'm able to go back and, really picking out seeds in my life that, I was like, that was really working.
I bring this up for a specific reason, right? Because I seem to see a lot of people that get hung up on the past, right? I still do, right? And it's like, I want to point out the fact that, that was probably early 90s, mid 90s. I'm guessing at home.
Late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah. So, like mental health right there, back then, like even if there would have been a path forward, there wasn't because they didn't know anything about it.
I was a kid in the cracks.
Yes. And it's like you're literally almost set up for failure.
Yeah.
Right? Because of all of, and I want to highlight that because I feel like people that are still in addiction might have that thought, of like, well, this happened to me in the past, so I can't go back to that. Right.
Yeah.
It's like, a lot of shit has changed, especially around mental health and things like that. I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, and I think I hope you can pick it up on camera. You exude peace.
Thanks.
You are an incredibly peaceful person, and I just met you. Like I don't know you as long as these gentlemen do, but I can relate. I remember my sister rolled me up in a rug when I was a kid, sitting on me. Right, so when you said that, I was like, oh, and I would hide.
Yeah,
and I just carried that. And you just are, it's your demeanor, you just bring out so much peace, which is probably when I say that to you, that probably hits a chord like, my God, what have you done with me? Right?
Yeah.
I just want to say, I think it's amazing. You have a peace about you that it's obvious, right?
Thank you.
Keep going. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. And you saying that, I can go on tangents with lots of things, but you saying that, and I do feel a lot more at peace. Of course, we're always our own worst critic. And somebody asked me a question like, I wrote something out, like one of my greatest strengths. All of a sudden they said, how did you get like that? Huh. And so it's like sometimes the most patient people in the world weren't always that patient. Right. And it's, it's something that you looked at and you wanted to change and you worked at, So I wasn't always at peace. And I had a lot of inner demons going on, and I've been fighting them for a long time. So when I was a kid, went to the therapy, but this is just a big part of kind of who my parents were. They want to help. They want to do everything. Sent me into therapy in second grade. What is going on? What can we do for our son? And automatically, I'm a kid in the cracks. I don't quite fall in the category of ADD. I was ADD, but not ADHD. I was hyperactive. I was so sensitive to everything, so I fell into the sensory disorder, whatever. They wanted to put me on drugs right away, and my dad right away said no. Both my folks agreed, no, we don't want to put them on any drugs. And awesome. Back then it was Ritalin and Adderall. Yeah. They would have got me hooked immediately right back then. I guarantee it. So that was a really big deal. It through that time, the things that helped back then was the structure my parents had. It was sports. I loved sports, and that I could zone out, really get into it. Art was another thing I've had my entire life. I always loved sketching, drawing, doing stuff like that. Painting. I was always something that made me feel I was addicted to chaos from a really young age. I hung out with, I love my friends. I'm still friends with some of these guys I grew up with, but man, we were fucking troublemakers. Yeah. We were into everything. We learned to, we want to watch rated R movies. This is back when King Soopers was the only place that rented movies, and we'd switch the rated R out with the PG-13. We'd take pellet guns and we'd trade them out with the toy pellet guns at Kmart, and so we were buying pellet guns and shooting each other, and it was just, that was just the beginning of a lot of things. I lied a lot. And I noticed a lot of my friends grew up a little more broke. I hate saying broken families because it is what it is, and we grow up how we grow up. I hate using that, but it's a terminology we might understand. They grew up, their folks drinking and smoking weed in the house all the time. They could stay out whenever they wanted. Yeah. But yet I was the one always like pushing, hey, let's go do this. Like, let's get into the shit and do this. And I think it was just something that made me just kind of feel, and I'm talking, this was from a very young age. You know, I got into sixth grade. I'd say first time drinking. So I was kind of getting into this part. I was probably in like third, fourth grade. Wow. And it was going into, I didn't get wasted, but it was buzzes. You know, my older brothers used to have parties all the time. So I was like, oh, there's alcohol all over the place.
Dude, that's crazy to me. Like, my daughter is in second grade. I'm sorry, she's in first grade.
Yeah.
Like, just to think in like 3 years that she would be drinking, like that just blows my mind.
You know, and just even thinking about it, and from the get-go, it was no, I want to get a buzz, you know. And it was like I drink a beer, and what we used to do, we'd have like barbecues, and I remember with my friends and stuff, I was like, come over here, and we'd be dropping them down from the balcony and drop, you know, 6 beers, and we'd go to the park and we'd go drink a few beers, you know. And I remember even like it tastes like shit, but I'd just be slamming it, trying to like get a little buzz. I hadn't gotten drunk or anything like wasted until it was, I think it was 5th grade, and I was with my buddy, and we had a friend, and he hooked us up with some peach schnapps. I remember this, a little flask of peach schnapps, and of course that's not enough. So, you know, my parents have a liquor cabinet, even though they hardly drank. I don't even think they ever realized we did fill it up with water, the old trick, you know. And so it was a little bit of, I remember this specifically because I could never drink any of this stuff ever again. But it was gin, Kahlua, peach schnapps, and some vodka. Well, I could start drinking vodka again at one point, and some vodka. And I remember like we were drinking, and my buddy was acting drunk, and we're in 5th grade. And I remember I was downstairs in our basement. I was like, I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it. Wham, wham, wham. And all of a sudden I go, holy crap. And all of a sudden I remember just projectile vomiting all over the wall. And I booked it upstairs at this point, and they talk about praying to the porcelain god. I get it. I thought I was going to die. I mean, my back was thrown out. I was like, you know, just arching back. I remember this. And my friend was freaking out, like, what do I do? What's going on? And he went and got my sister, and she was a couple of years older. And we always backed each other up. And Aaron's just like, I don't know what to do. Go get Dad, you know? And my dad came down, and I'm in 5th grade, you know? And I remember him. And what's crazy is I don't black out either. I can remember this. I remember even looking, I had Sour Punch straws. I remember this day watching them floating around in the toilet and hearing my dad, like, I'm freaking out, thinking I'm going to die. And my dad's like, just drink some water. Pat was super calm. Of course, he wasn't like, didn't approve of it.
Right.
But this is just going to my dad. I never remember him ever yelling. He didn't like, he was very calm. He always was. He's very logical. He's, you know, we're going to get through this. This is, you know. Remember the next day, I finally get up and, I felt like shit. And he's like, oh, soccer. Okay, soccer game. And right after soccer game, I had community service. So I already had community service at this time. We got busted. We were at the movie theater, me and a couple of my friends, and we were like flipping matches, and we lit a chair on fire.
Oh, nice.
And I remember I had to go like clean gum off the seats. That's when I learned how to freeze the gum and knock the gum off and clean the window. The 2 other guys I went with, their parents didn't make them go. My parents made me go. So, and I was, that's just kind of, but it's good, you know, my parents are showing me responsibility and stuff. But I remember after that, 6th grade comes around, I couldn't drink again for like 3 years. I remember my brother even giving me like a cup of liquor or something, and I just smelt it. And I puked like immediately. I hair stood up. I could not do alcohol. But I started smoking weed in 6th grade. There you go. And what's crazy is I still had anxiety, but it was a different type of anxiety. I wasn't having panic attacks. It was just like an all the time anxiety, you know? And it's a big difference for me, like a panic attack and anxiety. But I remember I chilled out. I wasn't getting in fights all the time. Like I said, certain things, I don't want to glorify certain things, but it worked. Right. It got me out of my head.
Dude,
but
that's the thing with drugs and alcohol. They're not a problem, they're a solution.
Yeah, they are until it doesn't work.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. So it does work. That's what brings us into it.
It worked too well, you know? And then, you know, I used to, you know, I would really get in. I was really good at sports. I was really good at everything I would try. I would obsess about certain things to the point where it made me feel crazy. It had to be the best. Had to do this and that. When I started smoking weed, I was just like, whatever. So you ask, like, you become at peace. I think I realized that I can kind of be at peace. But here's the thing: there's a balance to everything, and I think I overdid it. Then I didn't care about any of this stuff, and all of a sudden all I cared about was hanging out with my friends and chilling. And I still made sure I went to school. My grades dropped a lot, but I still had decent grades and still went to school. I wanted to prove to everybody that I wasn't a stereotypical stoner as they put back in the 90s. You know, I could smoke weed and go to class and still pass, still go to practice, still do good in sports, but I didn't excel the way that I could have.
Sure.
I quickly got right into all the weed, all my buddies. It became life. It was everything. I was straight up pothead.
What year is this?
Sixth grade. So this is probably 93.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm 44. I was born in 81. So is that about right? No. Yeah, that's right. I was about 12 years old when I was 12.
Mid-90s.
You got it. Yeah. You know, got into that shortly later. Started, okay, shrooms are going around and acid. Okay, let's do that. So it was like 7th grade, I think, is when I, dabbled a little bit. I didn't jump right in, was doing that stuff all the time, but occasionally we'd, trip some shrooms or some acid or something.
You're right. From weed to psychedelics, not weed to party drugs.
No, not yet. Yeah. It was just the psychedelics. A lot of people were getting in, I'd say, into high school. They were really getting into powders. Crank, bathtub crank was huge back then, and I knew a lot of people that getting into that, and coke. Yeah. But I saw the stigma, and I saw the people that were doing it, and I was just like, oh, I'm too good for that. Yeah, I'm not going to do that shit. Yeah. But I did get into ecstasy, started doing that, like party drugs like that. Stayed away from, most of the powders. Like I was like, oh, you could smoke it, but don't snort it. That was kind of my thought in high school. Started drinking.
Yeah, dude. I was just like, dude. I was like, I could never smoke meth. It was just like something in my brain. Like I just had this connotation to it that I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Back then, I mean, I smoked everything before I snorted anything. And I remember even saying like, okay, so I didn't try coke in high school. Well, I did once. I smoked it once.
Yeah.
And I never really thought about it. I was like, oh yeah, so it's freebase, it's crack.
Right. Yeah.
Just say, But I remember in high school, I started drinking more, but not at an alcoholic level. I would get wasted, but it wasn't all the time. I didn't have to. I was content on just smoking for the most part. I remember my senior year, I got in trouble a lot of times. I probably had 5, possession tickets. They never did much about them. I remember my mom asking me, like, why aren't you UAing my son? And remember the police officer, like, straight up saying, he's like, man, we have people in here from your son's age, 12 to 70, in here for weed. And he's like, and most of them don't really cause any trouble or problems, and that's, I think, my parents started. They didn't grow up with weed. They didn't know anything about
they thought,
it.
they didn't know this was actually an issue.
Yeah, they thought it was terrible. All they heard, and they're more accepting with alcohol.
Reefer madness, man.
You got it. Scared the shit out of everybody. Yeah, that's all they saw, Yeah, that one, it was crazy. I was like, I remember the first time we watched that, we're like,
dude, that's crazy. I'm sorry I brought that up, but have you watched that shit today? Oh, yeah. It is hilarious.
It is hilarious. Yeah, we get high and be laughing at it.
Dude, it's so funny. Anyway, sorry.
Oh, you're good. Yeah. I'm getting there here.
Yeah.
But so my high school years, it was crazy. So I finally got in, I really got into mushrooms, and we would trip hard, like at first when I was experimenting with them, and then I stopped liking to eat a whole eighth or quarter at a time and like literally losing my mind.
Yeah, like having terrible trips where it's
they were fun. Oh, okay. Fun, but I mean, out of my mind, like very spiritual experiences with some of my friends. There were some scary moments where you're hardly gripping on, but I really like getting out of my mind like that. I did. There was something to it, and I love doing artwork on them too. Like a lot of times it was one of the only other things that I would do by myself. I learned like I'd eat a few, but I didn't like to really. So I got to the point where I wasn't doing with my friends. I'm like, I really like that, and I'll just eat a couple caps, and then I would start doing stuff. Remember my junior year in high school, without realizing it, I was microdosing. I didn't realize it till way later in life, but I was popping a cap or two, and it's crazy. I wasn't drinking much at all at that time. I kicked back on smoking. I wasn't smoking nearly as much weed. but I just a little like a cap or two a day or something. I did that stuff for the whole year. I'd have to say too, and again, things work. It was probably one of the best I felt with depression, and I felt like my confidence was kind of there, and I kind of be myself. I've never been, I can't like get up and be dancing in front of people. I'm just kind of self-conscious and stuff. And that year I remembered I was actually able to do it, but I still kind of felt sober. I don't know.
Can I pivot here? And I want to get back.
Yeah.
Today, obviously you saw the post the White House put out with Joe Rogan there. And it was ibogaine and psychedelic mushrooms,
Yeah.
psilocybin. Do you think there's hope in either of those things today? And we could cut this out, dude, but I'm curious your thoughts.
Yeah, genuinely curious.
I absolutely do. I don't think it's the direction for me. I'm an addict. I've overdone everything I've done. I've already been down that route. Maybe I have to say too that if they say having a reservation for any drugs, if anything, it probably would have been shrooms. Because the thing is even when I was doing it then, I wasn't obsessing about it. It was more of and it was a very moderate thing that I got to. And it was actually shrooms that was a part of the beginning of this journey for me that really stomped out my other drugs. And I'll get into that a little bit.
So will you clip that? What you said, I think there is hope, but not for me because I'm an addict.
Yeah.
I think, dude, that is some of the most powerful words I think that are self-agreements that we realize.
Yeah. Well, and it's knowing yourself too.
Yeah.
Right? And
I overdo everything.
Yeah. And then
all the truth. This is, there's hope.
And you can tell when people have actually, done the work and will go through there because it's I've learned if I go down that road,
odds are it's going to lead to.
Yeah.
I was hoping to hear that. Not that I want your story to be what it isn't, but I think that brings a lot of hope because there are folks for me. The mental health side of things is I can't go there.
Yeah.
Dude, you know what?
But I think there are people that it could help.
I think it really could. No, I'm sure it could. Yeah. Because I saw some of the stuff it did for me at that time. And maybe if I didn't go overboard and go as far down as I did, there might be, but that's not my story and it didn't happen that way. And
So I'm sorry, we can get back.
Oh, you're good, man.
That's a good question though, because I think that's a pretty hot topic right now. And we even have opportunities to bring people on that have been through chemical experiences that have gotten them sober. Yeah. So I think it's something that we need to explore.
I think it's a super hot topic at this space.
Yeah.
Right. So I think it's worth talking about, but obviously it's not what my creator led me to my spiritual experience that got me.
Yeah.
Anyways, so you're in high school.
So you're basically microdosing your mushrooms on your own.
Yeah.
Right? Finding yourself a little bit.
And but totally without realizing it, it's all, I'm experimenting without realizing what I'm doing to try to find this peace within myself. And even at this point, I was living in fear, and we all do to an extent, but I've been living in fear my whole life. I was scared of everything. Even if I didn't act like it, I was fucking scared of everything. And I felt like I was finally to a point where I was doing new things without overthinking it, and more healthy, pausing and thinking before I was doing stuff. And I wasn't getting in fights. I had lots of friends. My whole life I had lots of friends, even though I got in lots of fights and everything. So here's high school. I had lots of underage, or I had a few underage drinking tickets. I got away with a lot of things that I should have gotten in a lot of trouble with. My senior year came around, and I got in a lot of trouble for ecstasy and mushrooms, and I was 18 at this point, so they're charging me as an adult. I don't want to go into details of everything. It's just, and I got in a lot of trouble, and so I was facing some felonies. And I remember it was about 2 weeks later, I was in high school. A lot of my friends had dropped out, the ones that I grew up with. I had more friends in high school, but a lot of them dropped out. I remember I was walking in the hallway, and a lot of school friends were getting ready for their class trip, whatever, senior trip.
Yeah.
I couldn't leave the state or anything. And I couldn't smoke my weed. I was all up in my head again, getting all emotional and all these feelings were coming back. And then I found out that I was going to have a kid. And
Senior year.
yeah, you know, she was already, I guess, pregnant for, 5 months or something when I found out through a friend. And I found out through a friend, and I confronted her and found out. But it was literally 2 months after getting in all this trouble. So here I get in a ton of trouble. I'm thinking my senior year, oh, I'm not even gonna go to college. I'm gonna make money the way that I make money, and I'm gonna go on and have fun and party, and that's what I loved to do at the time. It was, getting out and going and hanging out with people and getting out of my mind. So all of a sudden I'm sober, get in a lot of trouble, end up finding out that I'm gonna have a kid. I'm walking down the hallway, and I just thought about this the other day, because this is talk about a burning bush kind of moment. I was walking down the hallway in school, and on the intercom, my name was called. I hadn't been called once when I was at school. I'm like, shit, I had trouble. What the hell did I do? Can Michael Pratt please come down to the office? I'm like, all right. And I'm like, head between my, tail between my legs, head down. That's just how I'm walking. I'm pretty depressed, feeling with my life changing. I show up into the office, and they hand me a letter, and I'm like, what? I looked at this handwriting. The handwriting looked kind of familiar on it. I was like, what? I opened it up, and it was a letter to myself. And my third grade teacher, I remember, had us, Miss Lowry, she had us do this project. We had to write a letter to ourselves and saying what we wanted to do when we grew up. And in it said, I either wanted to be a professional athlete or go to art school. And what's crazy is 1 week prior to that, I decided to go to art school, and they accepted me. And without having a kid, without getting in all this trouble, I wasn't going to go to school. I wasn't going to do any of this stuff. But it's crazy to think that at third grade, I said, and it wasn't be an artist, it said go to art school specifically. So it wasn't like, and it was 1 week, and I remember walking in there, and everything was kind of dark, and I remember walking out of there feeling so hopeful. I was so grateful to that teacher for sending that out. I think it really just kind of pushed me like, hey, there's so much more to life. This, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And it was a great feeling. I still went through a lot of shit, like dealing with the courts and doing all that. And, it was a very emotional time. I mean, my folks, a Catholic family, a kid having a kid, the baby of the family, having the first kid in the family, and my folks wanted me to stick around with Tatum. That's her name, my oldest daughter.
So you had, the baby was born.
Oh yeah. And I remember I wasn't with her mom. Right away I realized it wasn't going to work. I wasn't going to try to force beam with her just to make things work with Tatum, and I realized that it would be a lot harder on the child if two people trying to force things to work. And of course I had great people, kind of help guide me, and I had a lot of support, put it that way. My mom and them, they were heartbroken to see that, their babies having to go through some of these challenges.
So when you say they're heartbroken, were they not, there's no excitement like there's a baby?
Not right away.
Yeah.
At all. I mean, scared, and it's, we're a pretty traditional family and everything. And I mean, my parents are still married, and all my siblings are married with families. And anyway, I remember once Tatum was born, I remember my oldest brother even being like, oh, you fucking dumbass, and people, and I'm just like, and I remember after she was born and I decided to, stick around and make a part of this. So it was, my mom helped me out so much. I didn't know how to change a diaper. She taught me how to change a diaper. She taught me how to do all this stuff, but I was there.
Your kid's mom is involved in the same
She is, but I had to bring her to court, and to be able to get split custody, and again, I don't want to trash talk anybody.
Absolutely.
Because life is how it is, and absolutely, everybody's perspective is different on everything and how it worked out. 100%. Her mom All we wanted to do is make sure that, Tatum was loved and, grew up as well as she could. At that point, when she was born, I grew up so much, and I realized the type of love that I got out of self a lot. I did. Almost too much to where I stopped focusing really on myself. I was just like, it was such an amazing feeling having a little kid, even though I was a kid. I look so young too. Still look young.
How long after? I'm sorry.
You're fine.
First of all, this guy speaks so highly of you, and I can see why.
Yeah.
I really can. I just love every part of your story. If this daughter, I remember being told when I had my first kid, as soon as you lay eyes on this kid, your life changes. That didn't happen to me. I was like, it took a long time. I was like, this is just then my son smiled back at me. I'm like, oh, wait, there's a human here. Mm-hmm. So you're saying, like, from the rip, this child was like, oh, wow, there's.
Yeah.
And as a parent, do we find, like, it is the sacrifice? Like, all of a sudden, it don't matter as much.
You got it.
I think that's worth highlighting, dude. That's normal. And it's like there's a sacrifice of self-death. Like, this matters more than everything else I've got going.
Yeah.
When I'm in the right mind space, the head space, or whatever. Anyway, keep going. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good, man. That helps me and keep me,
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And keep me thinking. I at that point, and my life, it did change at that moment, but complete changed way more over time and watching them grow up and this and that. And at that time, I think I finally realized that, I have responsibility and a purpose. I was the baby of the family. I was always like, what's wrong with him? What's this? And all of a sudden I was like, this is my kid, and it was just an amazing feeling. And it was the first time I think I really felt like hope and dreams were coming back. Like, I had decided I was going to go to school. I started going to school. I remember I was sober during this time, the whole time too, and I was an emotional wreck. It was like all my childhood stuff came back. Couldn't smoke, couldn't do any stuff. I remember going up to college and I was just like, panic attacks, they're back and they're doing all this stuff. But I was learning to deal with them differently. So asking earlier, like, when did I start learning certain things? I think through my whole life, and I started catching, I was like, okay, this too shall pass, without realizing what I was saying. Like, this, I'll be okay. When I was a little kid, I thought I was going to die. Now I'm like, get through this, times are hard. So skipping ahead a little bit, I remember when I first got off paper, I was 20, I was on paper from 18 to like 21. The day I got off paper, started smoking weed. It was back, because back then it wasn't like I was trying to be sober. I didn't think that was a problem.
Off probation.
You got it. Yeah, off paper, off probation. That's, you got it. And I was in school, and I remember I started smoking weed. I didn't miss a beat. And I started smoking weed and drinking. But I was always kind of like I said, functioning my whole life. Even though I did it all the time, still went to school, got good grades, was still a dad. I didn't black out and do things like that. And then I tried cocaine for the first time. I remember the first time I smelled cocaine is what I said. That was the fucking drug for me. It was immediately. And I was just like, holy shit, Like, I can't believe I was saying no to that all. Thank God I did all of high school. And I waited till, a little bit later. Immediately, I was trying to control that shit more than any other drug. I'm like, okay, I can't do that all the time, but once a month, And as they say, you make boundaries, and those boundaries slowly, but it was very progressive.
Yes.
I graduated high school, got a job. Pretty cool job. I went to school for industrial design, got a pretty cool job.
College, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
College, So I'm skipping ahead a little bit here.
Cool.
Things were amazing between Tatum and I. During this time too, like a few years later, Tatum was like 2. I was almost done with school. One of my best friends died. So I've had new people that died in high school that were friends, but he was like family to me.
Yeah.
I grew up with him since really he was my brother, and that was heart crushing. Such a good guy. And that was like the first death that I really.
What was his name?
Dan Croak.
And can I ask you what was cause of death?
Actually, him, he was driving back from CSU. He was going up to CSU. He was coming back. It was road rage between two other people on Highway 66.
Not including him.
No. It was two-lane highway, and he's going one way, and these guys were passing each other up, and somebody came head on with them.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was heartbreaking. He was 20. So, I mean, it's, he's just... And it always, everybody says this about such a great guy, and that was just heartbreaking. His funeral was huge. So many people showed up because he touched so many people's lives, I mean, there's thousands of people there. It was really touching. I felt so guilty because he was so good. And for some reason, I carried a lot of that guilt on me. And it took me a long time to really get over that. I had a lot of friends be dying during that time, but it wasn't the way that hit me.
Like survivor's guilt almost? Like, why did this guy go?
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, I never thought of survivor's guilt. I've never heard that. Yeah. Huh.
It's actually pretty common, dude, and we do it a lot because I had the same thing a couple of years ago. 4 years ago, one of my best friends committed suicide.
Yeah.
A lot of military folks do.
And it's very common, right? Like, I was like, oh, gosh, if I would have called him once in the last 6 years, he wouldn't have done this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's probably not true.
Yeah.
I've never experienced it, but I've heard of it.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. I never felt like it was my fault, but I felt like it should have been me.
Totally.
Like,
100%. He didn't deserve that. He was too
exactly.
good.
Yeah. And look at all the shit I did.
Yeah, exactly.
I do, and I'm not honest, and look at all this crap, Skipping ahead, that was just one of the first really emotional things, and I felt a lot of all of a sudden my childhood stuff kind of coming back, the sensory stuff, and I don't know, it wasn't feeling good enough. And I met somebody, my ex-wife, when I was 19, right when I went to college. So skipping back a little bit, we were best friends for a while. By the time we got married, by the time I was 24, we had another kid. So his name's Kai, and he's 19 now. So my oldest daughter's 25 now. And we had Kai, we got married. Life was really day to day. It was struggle. It was hard.
Just marriage, another kid.
It was, yeah. We got married so young, and we loved each other. I mean, I thought she was my best friend, and I think we were so young, and our communication wasn't totally there. And I her perspective, again, is way different than mine, but I believe, the family that doesn't pray together, family prays together, stays together. It's not even necessarily that, but I think we didn't have a lot of the similar beliefs, and we were so young, and our communication and worldly views were just a lot different.
Raising each other, dude.
Yeah, and trying to raise, kids.
Yeah.
And some kids, every kid is unique and different. You say you got to have the same rules for your kids, but they're all unique. And and some of them, they can be a struggle. And I realized how much of a pain in the ass I was for my folks. Yeah. And everything was coming back, and I was like, wow, this is what you guys went through, And during this time, I started using for the wrong reasons. It changed. And they always say there's different stages to your addiction. And I can recognize one stage. It was, I felt better, this and that. I'm having fun doing that. All of a sudden, the next stage is, shit, I need some cocaine to fucking get out of my mind and feel give me motivation, energy to feel like I can do this stuff. And all of a sudden, hiding it from everybody, So
your wife knew you were using, though?
She did, but not to the extent of what I was.
But what was your stance on it? Was she okay here and there, but not okay?
During college, it was fine, but once we had kids, very occasionally okay. I mean, it would be once a year type thing, but no, I mean, she grilled me when she knew. It was bad, so it made me want to hide it more.
Sure.
Because all of a sudden, I was becoming more and more dependent on it. If all of a sudden I felt like that was getting a little out of control, and she was too onto me for stuff, I was a cross addict. I've been addicted to everything. I always had a pocket full of pills. By this point,
that's everything.
Yeah.
I've never heard that term, but yes, very.
Oh yeah, I'm like, I don't have a problem. I could stop. So I stopped doing that, and I am addicted to addicted to Adderall, addicted to morphine and Xanax, all the above, and then all of a sudden by the very end it was a gutter junkie, everything, that's what it turned into basically. But I started using for the wrong reasons, and too, it was like, so then it was like motivation doing this stuff. Slowly the communication got worse in the family, and I felt like I was losing myself completely. Okay, the responsibility, taking care of the kids. I wasn't playing sports. I was hardly doing anything for myself. I started use to disappear, to just, I didn't want to even be around people. I didn't want to be around people using it anymore. So it's very progressive. That shit's real. It's textbook. I am textbook addict. It is, and it took me a long time. Even at that point, I didn't realize it. It wasn't until later in life when all of a sudden I'm reflecting back on things, and I was like, holy shit. Yeah, I'm pretty textbook,
That's a hard realization.
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
You're like, wait.
It was liberating, though.
Yeah.
But it was hard.
So
yeah.
I want to, when did, recovery is a road I need to start on?
Yep.
When did that become, because we think about that, is it like, we think, okay, one day I got to wrap this shit up.
Yeah.
But there's a moment where like, oh, that moment starts now, or the moment is swiftly coming. Where were you at? What was going on there? Do you remember that?
Yeah. But there's so many of them. That's where, yeah.
Well, when did that start? What was the beginning of that, right? Well, like there's serious decisions.
So the seed that was planted, but it's action, right? But for me, it was a very slow process, recovery. It's been going on for a long time. I think, so 1 year after my buddy Dan died, we were celebrating, and celebrating his life. Exactly a year later, I got wasted, and I fell off a roof, and I broke both my arms and my back. And so I've already had a lot of consequences in my life through, all the broken bones I've had. I think I've had one snowboarding, and I was probably still high at that point.
Sure,
But,
yeah.
all out of like 20 broken bones from fighting, falling, they're all when I was wasted, That point, though, I was just, I think the seed was like, okay, I've already been in all this trouble in the past, but I'm like, God, I got to stop doing this shit. Like, I would not have done any of that if I wasn't wasted, But then all of a sudden the next morning comes and, hey, let's do it again. Yeah. So it's that whole thing like, oh, I'm never going to do this again. My fucking hangover, and by noon, all of a sudden it changes. Yeah. But then all of a sudden I'm living in, so there's a realization that there's a problem, but now I'm living in insanity.
Yes.
Because, I'm making
That's
a
when
change.
shit gets really fucking dark.
Fuck yeah. And it really started to, but it had to happen. Right? And it's, a lot of my friends, they started using, and within 1 year, they went completely overboard, and they were done by 24. They watched me 10 years, 15 years pass, basically, and I'm still just slowly getting worse, and was able to, still have a job, still have the family, but I was fucking miserable. Nobody knew the extent of what was going on. I was so good at hiding it. I remember even, reaching out to, my siblings, each one of them separately over 2-year period, hey, I have a cocaine problem. I remember even saying that to my dad. And this is 5 years before going to my first rehab. And because I recognized it. And Carlin is the only one that knew that there was a problem, but she didn't even know how bad it was.
Is your sister?
No, I'm sorry, my ex-wife.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Still one of my best friends, Erin, my sister, thank you, they're a huge part of my life too. I would try to tell them, but I could act so normal. They didn't believe, nobody believed it.
This was your reality. They just know you high.
Yeah.
Right?
You
so
got it.
Sober you.
And I could act so fucking
Dude,
normal.
and that's the thing. You're not, at that point in time, you're also not fitting into the stigma.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the thing that pisses me off about the stigma, right? It's you are living in torture and you're asking for help.
Yeah.
But because you're not physically showing these signs of living in this stigma, people are like, oh, we don't really know what to do.
At this point, your existence has been continuous torture.
Oh, yeah.
So they just know a torture's Mike.
Yeah.
Right? They don't know.
You got it. Yeah, absolutely.
Nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed.
Yeah. Like today, if they knew Mike today, and then they meet that Mike, they're like, oh Lord, what's going
I
on?
never really thought about it like that.
Dude, and that's the scary
really was.
part.
Yeah.
Right, and all of this stuff with addiction, because I feel like they always say it has to come from you, right? And it's true, it does. Like, but I think like you have to be the one to recognize it too. You know,
Yeah, no one can. Oh, that's the hardest part about this whole thing. Is I wish so many times you meet those people that come to you like, hey, what do you? So, man, I wish if I had a pocket full of it, I'd give it to you.
Yeah.
It's only you, dude.
Yeah.
It's you.
And it's not the answer that most addicts, that any addicts want.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not. There's no quick fix. There's no. You gotta actually go fucking sack up and do some more.
So you said 5 years later you hit your first rehab. That was
Yeah.
the first, like structurally sound. Not let me say that differently. It's the first legitimate step you took to say, okay, I want to change.
Yeah.
Was that forced upon you? Or did you choose that?
No, I chose it, but it was still very much like you're gonna lose your family, you're gonna lose, you know.
So it was kind of like a fulcrum situation.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, yeah.
There was that experience. The rehab.
I talk about the pink cloud thing. It's the only time I've had the pink cloud, but yeah, that shit was real. I remember.
Can you talk about the pink cloud real quick?
Sure.
Because when I hear it, I'm like, ugh, I flinch because I've been on that cloud.
It was
so
a
many times.
great feeling,
Yeah.
man. Oh, I thought.
What is the pink cloud like?
It's like all of a sudden the change of life, going and getting all this therapy, and being in a safe place where, and all of a sudden I wasn't obsessing about it, and I learned a lot. I was paying attention. I was like, God, life is fucking great. Like I you know, therapists like telling you how great you are, loving yourself, and I came out of there like, oh, I don't have a problem. Basically,
Conquer the world.
Yeah, it's basically like all of a sudden I knew I had a problem, but I didn't think it was a lifelong thing. Yeah. And I thought it was just this little hump that I'm fixed
Free.
for the most part. I mean, even in there, they're saying maintenance. They'd have the, you know, people come in and share their stories, and or where they say, somebody was saying the underground coffee club, right? Come in and do all that stuff. And I didn't. I was like, whatever. This therapy was good, and that's all I really needed, you know. And all of a sudden, I remember it was about a week out of therapy, so 28 days, about another week later, and at this point, I was still. I was prescribed Adderall, you know, clonazepam. I was on all the stuff that it was prescribed, and right away, all of a sudden, started abusing hard, and I'm like, oh no, that ain't happening. Let me go get my stuff. Let me smoke. Immediately, and I was like, I couldn't control it, and that's when I was like, holy shit! Like, okay, I started realizing that there's so much truth behind what I couldn't control it.
But you said it was prescribed.
Yeah.
That is for all of us. That's that one we say, but it's prescribed. Mm-hmm. But it's prescribed.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a gateway to do it.
It's my justified.
And then it's prescribed by 2 or 3 doctors. It's the same thing, you know. So, I'm sorry.
And I
Keep going.
protected those prescriptions for as long as I could,
Yeah,
you know.
dude.
And I did, and to an extent, they helped with a lot of things. But no matter what, they led me back to, and it took me a lot of experimentation, a lot of years of misery to realize how textbook I was. You know, you read all that stuff in the books, man, it's me. The more I read them now, I'm just like, holy shit, it's really me.
But now it brings you hope, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I say it with my head down because that's how I felt at the time. Right now,
right.
Yeah. Like it's
God
hard
I'm
to
not alone,
hard pill to swallow. You know, it was just like, you know, fucking horse pill twice as big. It was fucking crazy.
So rehab was only 28 days.
Yeah, that one.
Okay. Dude, listen, I just want to tell you,
I've been
I felt like my recovery has been such a slow roll. So you're in a good place.
Yeah,
I agree, dude.
yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah, and I hopes of the marriage, you know, working out, and before the rehab happened, I remember it was finally my ex found out how bad it was, and okay, I'm on video, and I was really wondering how I've already said names of drugs and this and that, but it is what it is. My kids already kind of know what I was doing, but she found out that I was smoking crack. Yeah. Okay, and I hate saying it. There's such a stigma on it. But it is what it is. Okay, people would sit there and they'll do foilies, and I'm not trying to trigger anybody. It's crack, freebase crack. It's all the same stuff. but it was bad, and I was hiding it from everybody. I remember she walked in, and I had passed out. She went to a party, and she came in, and I had a pipe laying next to me, and I was passed out. She kicked me in the side, and she's like, "What the fuck is this fucking?" Like she thought maybe a few lines here and there or something. No, it got really bad. She basically let it, everyone know. She blew me up. Everyone found out my business. I was so angry and furious with her, but it's exactly what I needed. It was liberating. It made me run hard. Basically, like I had a house to go to, but I was choosing drugs. And I was like, oh, you guys think I'm this? I felt like in my mind, I was so resentful. Like, I've been trying to tell all of you I had this problem for so long, and now
it's your fault.
Yeah, it's your fault. I'm the victim, and and I'm off and running. But it's almost like I had so slowly been creeping, up this hill to fall down, where all of a sudden it's like, okay, let's get you going on hyper speed here. Like how I said, some of my friends started and fell quick. Let's get you on that route, And I remember then it was like running around. Then I started learning, let's go down street style. And I'm living in my car, and I got house and family to go to, and I was making these choices. And talk about, none of this is meeting up with my morals. And I was so lost and so depressed. Finally, I came back and I decided to go to the first rehab. So I remember going to that, and it was Arapahoe House. It was back when Arapahoe House was still around. Did that one, relapsed a little bit later. I wasn't allowed to stay at the house because I'm starting to learn, so it was in and out, this whole thing with my ex. Decided to go to another rehab. Got in there, didn't last. That one lasted for about 3 months. I couldn't stay sober for more than 3 months. I remember I'd relapse after like 89 days. I couldn't even hit the 90 days for so long. It took me 5 years to get a year sober. I went to a couple different sober livings. Finally, my second time through Step Denver. Step Denver is a huge part of my story. I love that place. Yeah. I do. It's not for everyone. I think if everyone gave it a chance, the system and what they do there is fucking amazing.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
What is that? Because obviously, you've lived this here.
So it's downtown Denver, and it's I've been to these. I've been to fancy rehabs where it's like, dude, it's a money racket. I've been to different types of rehabs. This place, it was raw. Right. You can come on in off the street. They set you up with, you can pay your own rent. They'll hook you up with 2 weeks worth of rent if you do janitorial services. They do it for everybody. You can stay here for 2 weeks free. 1 week you'll do janitorial services, and they have a career center set up.
So this is fresh off the street. You're detoxing, doing washing toilets or whatever.
Yeah, at that point we had to detox before going in. It's changed a little bit now. You still have to detox because especially alcohol, it's not a clinical facility by any means. So there's no pink clouds there. This is real life shit, And a lot of guys who go in there were willing. Yeah. And it's not a money making thing. It's like saving lives thing. This is real shit. And I realized, these guys. These people want this. It's not parents forcing these people and families forcing these people into this stuff, And it's something where right away they're making you accountable. And it's not just sobering up. It's changing your thinking and becoming like functioning citizen of society. You're participating. What's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, I got in there, and again, it didn't completely take. I felt like this is like my 8th go at it, and I'm about 3 months in, and I kind of got it. But that obsession always would start kicking back in. And it was always for, my DOC, drug of choice, but it all ended up being everything. When I left there,
how long were you there?
The first time I was there for 3 months. I left, and then I was out running for about 6 months again, really bad. It got one of the worst. It always gets worse, right? Yeah. You go out, and it keeps going lower. I finally, it was the first time I was homeless. I became homeless and didn't have a car. It was the first time actually sleeping on the streets a few times. It wasn't every night yet or anything. And I remember I finally found that gift of desperation again. You know, I never realized what it was, but I'd had that desperation moments multiple times in my life. I remember I finally hit it again, and I remember having my, you know, all my hardware and everything. I was just like, this shit, I broke it. And I went in, and this is the second time going in there, and I don't know what I was doing differently. I did, like, it was much more, I was following the spiritual aspect. There you go. I say, I don't know. Go ahead.
I want to highlight that because that's the, you know, the next question is, what was the spiritual awakening in your story?
Mm-hmm.
That's a big.
I know what you're going into.
Yeah. And I'd grown up, you know, loving Jesus and doing this stuff. Grew up Catholic my whole life. I never really took much of it real, like I'd pray, but just did it second nature. Never maybe felt it or, you know. And
Really understood the purpose of it?
No. I just grew up with a good family and just always like.
That's exactly,
you know,
I can relate to that.
yeah,
I was
and
very much like that.
And for a long time, I kind of gave up hope on a lot of it, you know, through my 20s and all that. I didn't really pray a whole lot and do stuff. I got in and I was starting to work a spiritual program. Step Denver, it is a 12-step based, but it's not in a way. I mean,
Do they have this 12? Do they do
Yes,
the 12 steps?
yeah,
But
absolutely.
not the steps of.
Yeah, but they tell you, I mean, and it's all about the people, everybody who works there went through the program there. Everybody there is in recovery, you know. Things are evolving and changing a little bit over time, but when I was going there, this is what it was like. But, you know, you'd sit down with, you'd have lots of different spiritual advisors, you know, and they just, whoever you kind of clicked with and were talking with.
Was this connected to a church? Or,
No,
So
no.
And was it like
But a
God
lot
of
of
your
them love-
choosing?
Yeah.
kind of thing?
Oh, always. Yeah,
So
yeah,
it
yeah.
really was very just. You need a spiritual experience for something to stick, and that's
Yeah.
what you're chasing.
Yeah.
Cool.
So they're teaching the life lessons and how, you know, balance in life. That was huge key part, you know. Idle time is devil's playground type thing. It's like, you can't just be sitting around. It's like, no, you have to have structure, routine.
something.
This is, no, and if you're not going to follow this stuff, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Get out. You don't want it? Get out.
How often
you
have
know?
you heard that? I mean, did you get that a lot, or was it more coddled? I don't mean that disrespectful. I got a lot of coddling where it was like, "We love you. Let's come back." And finally, someone was like, "Dude, you're off payroll.
Yeah.
Kick rocks."
Yeah.
Yeah.
But kick rocks. It's funny. It used to, the saying used to be like, no, they said kick rocks. You're supposed to kick rocks, not smoke them.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was remember, yeah. My ex actually said that to me the first time. I'm like, fuck, dude, you're so right.
That's
Like,
great.
ouch, right in the
So I want to dive into your spiritual experience. I really like. What did that look like? Like literally, what was there? Moments, several moments where you felt like, okay, there's something out there that really loves me and wants the best for me. Like what? Tell me more.
I'm a slow learner with some things, you know.
Me too, brother.
I there's a feeling of, okay, I'm getting my life a little bit back on track. Okay, I feel like I'm being service of helping people out, and they force that down, you know. Best way out of self is through the service of others. And I remember like sayings like that, and they'd have all the, you know, the principles up on the wall. So they will, you know, and started just learning the principles, keeping it elementary, and just some, okay, honesty. Just fucking be honest. Humble, you know, humility. Yeah, it's some of the hardest things.
I know,
at this
it's
point.
so
I can't even, you know, and all of a sudden I'm overthinking everything at this point. I'm like, you know, but now I'm really trying, because I did hit moments of that desperation piece where I didn't know how to live with it or without it. Those sayings you hear, I finally have felt those moments, you know, and so I'm trying, and I'm doing it. I'm not just trying, I'm doing it. You know, I worked with guys that helped me, and I worked with guys that I tried to help. So I went down that route. You know, I wasn't really finding, like, I'm realizing now, like, I'm still kind of behind the whole science part, you know, fighting a little bit of like my upbringing a little bit, you know, but all about being a good person. I actually started working there. I became one of the recovery coaches there, and I was working there for 2.5 years. It was through COVID. I stayed sober for almost 3 years. I stopped again, though. I I wasn't doing art. I wasn't working out. I wasn't doing anything for myself really, besides I was trying the spiritual stuff and praying and meditating, but the action kind of fell out besides work. All of a sudden I found myself falling into a robot where I'm going to work, I'm running to get my kids, I'm come back home, I'm sleeping, I'm just like started getting this kind of like
Notness.
And complacency. And you hear how dangerous that shit can be. And in the moment, I don't totally realize it. So I remember it was after COVID and I got really sick with a cold. It wasn't COVID. I had COVID already, but this time I was sick. And I remember I took some NyQuil and I was sitting there and I was like, I feel high.
Yeah.
I fucking miss that shit. And it was like 2.5 years after being sober. And I didn't even realize it completely at the moment. But all of a sudden, I started dreaming and obsessing. I'd be seeing people like walk into an alley and like, why does that seem fun? My life is great right now. I have my own apartment. Everything came back. I had my own apartment. At this point, during this time too, I finally decided, Carlin and I, we kept going back and forth. Like it was just miserable, like this fighting thing. And I remember we wanted to make it work, but we were fighting so much. I would do all this work on myself. I'd come back into the house and I don't think they were doing much work. And I'd fall right back into the same role. Like you hear all the thing, like everybody in the family has a role. And, the mascot, the savior, the enabler, there's all this stuff. I'd fall back in and I tried it like 8 different times. Every time I go back in, I'd end up relapsing and I'd just fall back into the same. And I'm not blaming her. I'm not blaming any of this. It's just, it is what it is.
It's the mentality.
You got it just to happen. And
it's funny, like to speak to that, my wife and I, went through the same thing.
Yeah.
And we talk about this a lot because when I was drinking, she created a whole life outside of me.
Yeah.
To protect the kids from me, to protect herself from me. And she didn't know who she was going to get.
Yeah.
So when I get sober, now it's like I'm showing up way differently, right? And over time, I'm starting to realize they're still treating me the same way.
Yeah.
Right? Like my wife would always make dinner, but never plate any of it for me. And for months, dude, like 6-8 months, I was like, why will you not plate me food? And I didn't get it.
Yeah.
And finally it all came out. Right? It was like we were just reacting and responding to life the exact same way that well, I was trying to do it differently.
Yeah.
But she was still in that place of like, she needed proof. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She needed that longevity to see. And I had an 8-month relapse, so I had multiple relapses in there. And that broke that cycle of trust, And, so it was just this crazy thing. And I bring that up because that is very real.
Yeah.
And it was something that I'm grateful that we were able to identify because it almost tore our marriage apart.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think there were so many other things besides the addiction, like I said earlier, with just our communication and, we were bumping heads, man. But we loved each other so much. He's my best friend and everything. And the things that I would do to protect my drugs and alcohol and not letting everybody know how bad it was. I mean, I would lie all the time. It got to that point. I used to be so honest. She'd do all this stuff, but all of a sudden when she wouldn't approve of it, I'm going to lie and do anything I can do to protect this, And I mean, I feel for her, and our kids, some of them, weren't easy bringing up, it wasn't easy, And so during COVID, it finally got to a point, though, everyone thought the world was going to fucking end at that point, right? It's like lock your doors, the rioting, all the, Black Lives Matter, all the shit was going down, shit was hitting the walls, not hitting the fans, whatever. And I remember she wanted me to move back really bad, and I was in a sober living, and I was about 6 months sober, longest I'd ever had, besides, and even when I got in trouble when I was 18 to 21, I'd still find loopholes and drink every few months.
Yeah.
I got to call in my colors.
Yeah,
like
I
at
swear to
11,
God.
12:01, I'm like, oh shit, I can drink,
My fucking first stint through alcohol classes that you get, dude, I learned so many ways to game the system. It was just that did not help at
You're
all.
looking for the whole. Oh, okay, that's the moment.
Yeah.
I'll use here. I'll do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask you the last question here. man, what keeps you sober today?
Okay. Here's one other thing with that stuff that I kind of wanted to.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Please.
So when we got a divorce, I finally realized I started recognizing patterns and traits. I was really paying attention to what I'm textbook. No, I can't. I'm listening to spirit, like people giving me advice. I don't know everything, and I'm listening to other people outside, other addicts, people who've been through shit. And there's actually certain things in books that talk about the guy going back to the marriage all the time. And okay, we're gonna get a divorce. It was heartbreaking. It was so hard during that time. There was still a lot of resentment, but during this time, and when I started working on like becoming more spiritual, without even like I worked through a lot of stuff, but the promises, I'll put it that way. I don't know how I'm trying to word things. The promises are real. You know,
Dude,
they are. And
so
when you
much
start working this stuff, the light gets brighter, you know? And I mean, you can work these things and these principles, and you got to stay spiritually fit, right? You got to exercise, dude. It's like going to the fucking gym. You got to keep it straight. If not, it's going to be hard and it doesn't even make sense. So it's staying on top of it and doing it. But these things are real, and resentments are lifted. They're always going to be there, but you work on them right away and you kind of get over them. And all of a sudden I really started, even though we got a divorce, I saw her perspective on a lot of things that we were bumping heads on. And because there's so much gray. I mean, right, wrong, it's, you know, and
Totally.
And I was able to like lift a lot of the resentments and kind of able to let go. I let up on my spiritual program. Everyone's looks different. Sure. Everybody does their own thing. Okay. I ended up relapsing after those years. I lost my job. I gave my job away. I called him up, told him I relapsed, you know, and I'm trying to skip ahead a little bit here. Lost my job. They called I was in a sober living community in downtown. It was called Providence Network, Open Door Ministries. And that was a faith-based place, but I had my own apartment. I lost that. I had to pack stuff up into my truck. My truck got stolen a week later. Literally within 1 week, I was homeless after having a good job. My life was coming back.
Using, or was it like a?
Oh, I was using.
Got it.
Yeah. And I went right to my drug of choice. And before you know it, I found myself on Colfax, and I'm living in hotels, and I got real resentful towards a lot of people I felt like weren't behind having my back. So I went from the promises are real to giving up on my spiritual program. And this is how real it is, saying like, it takes work. You got to work at this. You let up on it, odds are you're going to go back to your old way of thinking. And I've been there, and it very easily could happen again, you know? And that's a fucking healthy fear. And
as you're saying this, I'm like, God help me. I'm not even kidding. I'm dead serious.
No.
I was like, Lord, please keep me.
Oh, because there's moments where in there I was like, dude, I wasn't obsessing. I wasn't thinking about it. Life was good. And that shit crept right back. It can come back very quickly and very easily, you know? So after this is now it's been about 8 years since I started to really try to get sober. And I remember people in my family, you know, like I was like, people cared about me and this and that, but I almost felt like everyone just like shunned me when it happened. And I asked for it. People, other addicts, they weren't shunning me, they're protecting themselves. And I realized that now. I'm like, fuck all you guys thinking they were my brothers and stuff. I was like, well, of course they don't want to fucking be around some dudes actively fucking using it and stuff.
Just you
know, I kind of get that now. And I went off and running for 3 years. Yeah.
It's crazy you're alive.
I know.
And
it gets worse and worse.
Yeah.
So these next stories, I won't go into a lot of them. Let's just say that I was living in and out of hotels and doing, you know, hanging around just a lot of shady people, where a lot of dark, and this is where the faith really came back. So, you know, where it is dark, God's always there. You're always going to find light. Even if I don't see it then, I was ignoring the truth in the moment. I just wasn't even like, my intuition was telling me tons of things, but I'd ignore it. The more I ignored stuff, the worse I got. I was losing my fucking mind. I dropped down to like, I literally looked like death. I was weighing 120, Jesus. You know, cheeks sunken in, pick marks everywhere. Like I would look, I remember I was always so good at being a chameleon and, oh yeah, I can, you know, talk and even talking normal. And I remember going into a 7-Eleven once and the guy's like, get out, you know. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? And I like turned, I saw my reflection in the window and I was like, I look feral, you know. I had to change my shoes in a couple months. I walk around in them, I practice stink, you know, and I don't notice it because I'm living it. And I was just like, it was just a realization. I was like, holy shit, you know, and the more I was using, the more it was just to disappear. It was literally living in hell. And the more I ignored the truth, the more I'd lose my mind. And I remember I finally I was running around with some people, and I'm no names, nothing, but there was a couple people that really mattered to me that weren't ready, and I was waiting for certain people, you know, for them to be ready, and it's like, no, we got to do this on our own. Sure. I remember I went into September again. I woke up in detoxes with my clothes all cut up, restraints on my arms, where I had seizures, and I wake up, pull the IVs out, and run out. Didn't even read the charts to see. I was John Doe. I remember reading John Doe, and I'm like, I'm fucking out of here. And then I'm off and running again. Like, that shit happened multiple times. And I finally went up to Fort Collins, trying to run away from Denver. And it was getting there was a lot of really dangerous shit and stuff that was kind of going on with me. And I was going to end up dead. Although I remember talking to my dad, and he goes, you know, I finally went up to Fort Collins, I caught some charges again. All the shit I did in Denver, and I was trying to get away, and it was like the dumbest shit. And I was just like, caught some pretty serious charges too. Actually, I have court today when I'm completely off right after this. Yeah, big deal. It is. Yeah. So 1:15, I have court date.
You're completely off after this?
Yeah, today.
Today's the day.
Dude.
Dude, I gotta ask.
That's so celebrate that?
Yeah, 1:15 is my court time. That's amazing. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So I remember going up there, and I'm fucking losing my mind, you know, and I was talking to my pops. I had just gotten out of jail from getting arrested again for some other shit. A couple times stuff happened down there. And then Fort Collins cops, man, they fucking suck. I'm sorry, dude. I'm just sorry. I mean, I know
you talk zero shit this whole time.
I apologize.
My cousin's a Fort Collins cop.
Oh,
so
whoops. Sorry. Not all of them, but I mean,
everybody but your cousin is happy.
Dude, they had like 15 cops. Like, I mean, I wasn't like doing nothing. I was just
they don't
like,
fuck around.
You know, they don't. It's like, you guys have nothing better. It's like, our taxpayer dollars to go
Dude,
into
I'm
this.
sorry.
I watched the police camps, and I was like, this is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I remember that I think other people finally saw the police cams, and they thought I was delusional and like, what you must have done, you know.
Yeah.
And they watched police cams like, oh, what the fuck, you know, like, okay. Anyway, I remember talking to my dad, and I was, you know, I just couldn't get better. It was like, at this point, I was stopping for a week. I was in Longview 5 times that summer, you know, so I was homeless in Denver to homeless in Fort Collins. And I remember him being like, well, what's the worst thing that could happen? And I was like, I can die. I'm going to die. And he goes, or I could get arrested and go to jail. Jail's institution's death, right? Or I can live a long, miserable life and lose my mind, and everybody I love won't talk to me anymore. And I remember him even saying, he goes, I think that sounds more like you. You're pretty resilient. You've proven to do that, you know? And I was just like, the realization of that was like...
What your dad is telling you.
Yeah.
That's probably...
I mean, I came up with the answer, but he was asking the questions to get it out of me, because he knew what the answer could be, you know? And I think he was absolutely right. And talk about light and dark, and I mean, the devil was... playing tricks in my mind, and it was real shit. There was one moment there was lots of these that happened, but I remember in this whole time I want to get better. I remember I was in a hotel room, and I woke up. I used to say I don't go to bed, I pass out. You know, I'd be up for 3 days, and I mean, literally fall asleep with like head like this, and wake up 12 hours later, and like, sleep paralysis because I'm sleeping on my legs all weird. Yeah, so I wake up, and this is when I'm weighing 120 pounds, looking translucent, and I go to the mirror, and my face is perfect. No pick marks, colored back. I was shaved. I looked down, I didn't have any hair on my arms. I'm delusional. I'm fucking tripping. I've been doing a lot of drugs. Splash water in my face. No, I look as healthy as can be. I look younger. Like, I already look young, but I look like really healthy. It was crazy. And I was just like, what? And I sit down on the bed, and all of a sudden I grab my pipe. I have a ton of dope. And I'm like, just naturally. And I'm like, angel and demon. Like, literally. This is who you can be healthy. This is a life you could live. And something else, the other side, yo, just get high, man. You feel like shit right now. Just fucking get high. And angel, demon, dude. And listen to anytime I hear it say you could, oh, don't even let it get there. Because no, you can't. No. You can't do it. No, you can't. And I remember literally, so this is very, I mean to get so visual and stuff. And I remember hitting it, and literally the room got darker. I looked in the mirror, all of it back.
Fucked up.
All of it back. And there was lots of, over this like 2-week period during this time when I was trying to get out of Denver, like a lot of spiritual experiences very similar to that, where the signs were blatant. Okay, Mike, you're ignoring these signs. Let's like throw this stuff. And I still ignored it, you know?
Dude, you know what's crazy to me about spirituality? This is something I'm learning back through Genesis with Adam and Eve, and something that you sent me is Satan doesn't actually lie to us, right? He tells us the truth. And that's the fucking crazy thing about all of this stuff is like the reasons that you have to go back to the bad thing, they're going to all be wrapped up in logic. Right? And it's going to make sense. It's going to make sense to, yes, I do just like, but it's going to make sense to your flesh, right? To nothing else but your flesh. And that's the thing that I've realized is like, oh my God, dude, like through all of these things, God's actually been trying to reach out to me, you know, and pull me out of this stuff. But it's just like my perception or whatever, or Satan is just so good at wrapping the lie of truth and the temptation up and all of this stuff, right? And making it my idea.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just enough truth, but not the whole truth.
Exactly.
Just enough truth, like, hey, it's gonna
and
you're gonna feel good right
dude,
now.
And you
and then
see
complete shit in a little bit.
Yeah, but you don't hear that. Don't worry.
You see it at the very beginning of the Bible.
Yeah.
In Genesis, dude, like the snake in the garden doesn't lie to Eve.
Yeah.
He does exactly that. He tells her the truth, but he just doesn't tell the whole truth.
Yeah.
She doesn't understand.
She doesn't understand the spiritual implications. Yeah. And so it's like, dude, I have like goosebumps and like multiple times throughout the story, I just want to cry. But like that, dude, like I want to highlight that for the listener because that's what that is, right? Like that's God reaching out to you in those moments.
Oh, yeah.
And reaching out to you in the depth of your despair, you know, and showing you images and visions of yourself, what it could look like, you know. And
But I just really hope that, I mean, you can clip this, but like, listener, I hope that you can take the time to listen to the story. This is the real deal, you know, and this is listening to you. As we listen to some, there's a scripture that I really enjoy. It says, we overcome by the blood of the Lamb, the word, the testimony, right? And listening to your testimony, this whole time, I'm like, God help me. So God help me, because it's hard to me, it's hard to, because I relive my moment as you live yours out, or you share yours. I relive those moments. Yeah, you're like, man, dude, I know what I don't want. And I say this a lot. There's not a world that exists where I go back to that. But I listen to you, I'm like, there's not a world that exists that I think that's where I want to be. Because I know that's where I go. I will go handcuffed to hospital beds, you know, like.
Dude, and that's the thing, too. You also have to realize that there's a world that doesn't exist where that's not a reality for you. You know what I mean? And that's, I think, the hard part is like, okay, this is part of my reality. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, I've got to protect against that constantly.
Yep.
You know, and bro.
So what does keep you sober today, man? You've shared a lot of it.
Yeah.
But like today,
And let me ask you this: how long have you been sober? Just out of curiosity.
20 months now. This round.
That's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
See, proud of you. And I want to highlight,
September 9th, 24.
I don't believe that when you step off the path, you start at the beginning. I believe
No.
you step off the path, you pick up what you need to, and you hop right back down and you go.
Oh, I learned
And that's so hard for people to realize when they're in it. They're like, no, dude, we're gonna pick back. You might not have your truck.
Yeah.
You know, you might not get all the accoutrements that you once gathered, but the wisdom that you gathered doesn't go away. You hop right back on and you keep on going and you just pick up. And your creator doesn't, he's not waiting for you back there. Your God is
meet him
right here. He's like, hey, hop back on them. We're right called, I hate the wagon. Hop back on the wagon. Yeah, I do. I hate it.
Oh no! All the cliche sayings, but they're so fucking true.
They're so
The more I get into it, I'm just like, here I go again.
You were talking about the principles on the walls, and like, that was burning my head. You know, like a little kitty cat hanging from the bar. The first AA room, like, just keep hanging in there. I'm like,
God, you want to fucking shoot the cat?
Yeah. So this is part of the, part of what I do. Try not to take life so serious. I can get very serious, but going back, if I don't get serious about it, I get, as I've heard before and I heard somebody say, I get amnesia. And I'll forget all about some of these bad. As horrible as shit got, for some reason, those guys walking in that alley look tempting.
crazy.
What the fuck?
Crazy, right? Like, that guy looks like he's having more fun than me. I'm like,
That's,
wait a second.
yeah.
My
So-
socks are clean.
So if I don't remind
can,
myself-
by keeping it at the forefront of your thought, by talking about it, by sharing it, by being in addiction recovery spaces, it just keeps those memories right there.
And I think staying in the gratitude part is more important to me.
Thank you.
But I don't need to drill that stuff in my brain every day.
Right.
But at least in a part of my life, it's a balance in there somewhere. It might be a little piece, but absolutely. I almost deleted all the photos, but I kept a couple of them where I'm like, whoa.
My wife did that.
I can't forget that. I was about to delete it. I'm like, I'll keep a couple of those just to remind myself. And I think this is like some of these stories I was talking about, the whole like my face clearing up and me looking healthy. My mind, so many things have happened to where it's almost like something's telling me to forget about them. These magical moments, like they weren't real. Something's telling me I was delusional. No, that shit was real.
Oh,
it
dude.
happened.
And no one can convince you of that.
No. And besides myself,
Right.
all of a sudden myself saying now that I'm straightened up 2 years later and I haven't thought about it or talked about it, I'm like, I was delusional.
But I'm looking at that guy.
Bullshit. No, I can't forget that. That it really, some of that stuff really did happen.
Dude,
And
that's who you are today.
And that's the thing. Is like that's got to remain reality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like the farther we get away from it, it's human nature, right? It's our consciousness, right? We just tend to get away from those things.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And that's why we tell people like, what's, our third and our fourth pillar, or maybe it's fourth, fifth, or community and service. Staying connected to those things.
Yeah.
Because it reminds you of where you've come from.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to, we do not this now, but we're going to head that way soon.
Okay. With the answer to finish going off, what do I do right now?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
So where this kind of took me, I came in, I don't, relapse is a part of my story. It doesn't have to be part of everybody else's. And this is what people, but it is a part of mine. And no, I didn't lose things. Even when I felt like I lost complete hope, I didn't give up. There was some perseverance in there that I decided. I remember somebody saying, you just need to give up on that life and accept that you're a drug addict and just enjoy yourself now. And I'm so happy that I didn't, because if I would have done that, who knows? So I stayed miserable while I was doing drugs, and to be able to find this. So this round, when I came in right away, okay, let's learn what Step Denver kind of taught me a little bit, the balance and routine. God, I never wanted to be that 9-to-5 guy or doing this and that. I need the structure, the routine. I started working out right away. It's a huge part of my recovery. I don't go run marathons and like that, but I hit the gym up. Even if I'm not doing a whole lot of the gym, I'm making sure I'm showing up.
Yeah.
It's part of the structure. But I work out pretty hard when I go in there, So it's been almost a year and a half straight of working out, doing that. working, doing a job. It was a lot of legal stuff I was going through. I was doing therapy, which is huge. I still see a therapist, same one that I've had almost the entire time. I had to deal with all my legal stuff, knock all that out. Such accomplishments when I was getting all that stuff done. I do, go join the secret coffee club, I'll do that. And I work with a lot of other guys. I went right into sober living. Could have left there a long time ago. Decided to stick around because there's people, and I don't always want to be there. I deal with a lot of shit, but it's a part of a structure and a routine, and the word balance comes in. So I always kind of share this. I look at life like a pie chart. I'm very visual. A little piece of it is, let's say it's work, a little piece of it's family, a little piece of it's recovery, self-exploration. And when that pie charts start being off balance, I think I start finding myself being a little bit in danger. So I also I do go to church every Sunday as well. I started doing that. My daughter actually kind of got me into that. And my family is so important to me. I have 2 grandkids now too. Mm-hmm. And my oldest daughter is married, and they have 2 little girls.
You get to hang out with them.
Oh, and they live close. I see them all the time. They invite me over for dinner.
Promises, dude.
My daughter and I have an amazing relationship. I have 3 kids, 25, 19, and 15, and 2 granddaughters. Family is so important to me. I wish I was hanging out with my brothers and my sisters a little bit more. I will. I'm saying I wish. I'll make it happen. So a part of my recovery is, let's fucking do it. Yeah. Not stop talking about it. It's action, So doing things and, trying to squash that fear of, because I find myself in funks. I know Elliot's seen it where, and I try to talk about it. Elliot and I chat quite a bit. It's very important. So there's my community. So that's the other really big part. So I have family, but also need that community of people who get it a little bit more, My family tries their hardest. They do.
Dude,
I love them to death.
They never will.
Somebody who gets it.
Yeah.
Well, I told my wife this the other night, she's going through her own stuff, and it's like, dude, I don't think that you should be bringing all of your emotions around this to me. One, I'm not dealing with them well.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm kind of crushing what you're trying to do here, so I think maybe you need to go to some outside source to get somebody that understands what you're going through, because I just don't understand it. I'm just going to try to fix it.
Yep.
And so that's it is. And I think you got to understand that too, right? Like, I would take these issues to people that didn't get it.
Yeah.
And the people that don't get it, they just want to fix you.
Yeah.
And that just kind of adds to all the bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
And so there's a lot of importance around surrounding yourself with people that understand exactly where you're at.
It is. And, this was kind of important. I thought about this. I didn't get in any relationships. I decided to be on my own it was almost 2 years. So it was literally, let me focus on myself. I'm serious. But for me, it was a really big deal.
Yeah.
And I realized I learned a lot about myself. Yeah, I got lonely as fuck. But that's when I realized I'm never alone.
Yeah.
And I needed to learn being able to focus on myself and do these things. Art. I don't do a ton of art yet, but I'm dreaming again a little bit like I used to, and I have ideas, and I'm still sketching. Hey man, that's cool. I do a lot of graffiti. I've always been graffiti artist, so I do a lot of graffiti stuff. But right now I'm waking up, and I have moments that are still a struggle, but life, it's hard. I make my own struggles and this and that, but I am waking up again. The sun is brighter. I keep my windows open. My shades, I don't close them. I like waking up to the sun. Before I even grab my phone, I try to, sometimes it's natural, but I try to always wake up and, God, thank you for this breath. Thank you for keeping me clean and sober. Those are usually the 2 first things, and then I'll spit out a few other things I'm grateful for. And this is when I'm groggy as fucking morning. I'm not a great morning person, and sometimes it's even half-assed, but I'm still doing it.
Yeah.
And throughout the day, every day, I just thank God as much as I can and try to live in gratitude as much as I can. And some days it's really hard to believe some of it, but other times, and I mean, it's coming, it's there. You know, I can feel it, and it's such a beautiful feeling. It
Gratitude.
really is, dude. Yeah, and just being hopeful and learning that, you know, this is the drugs and alcohol are but a symptom, right? A disease. It's a thinking problem, not a drinking problem. It's a spiritual disease. Drugs and alcohol were the solution, as you said earlier. Now I got to find another solution.
Exactly.
You know, and it's God, and it's learning to change my thinking, and this is how I'm doing it. And it is a beautiful thing. It's something I've been working on since I was a little kid. I'll never figure it out, and I need to stop trying to figure it out and just keep doing what I feel is right in my heart.
That's,
You know?
I think that's it in life right there. It's like we got to stop trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
You know,
Labels on everything.
and it's creating. It's just causing us to spin our wheels in all the wrong directions.
I'll go
dude.
nuts.
You know, and it's just like, it's insane. And if we just stop and be like, okay, you know what is my output into the world, whether you're an addict or not? You know, how am I engaging?
Whether you know you're an addict or not.
Right. How am I engaging with the world around me?
Yeah.
Is it beneficial or is it selfish? Are you sowing positive seeds or are you trying to take what you can?
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, if you're trying to take what you can, maybe you should ask yourself some questions. You know, maybe you should stop trying to take and maybe give.
Yeah.
See what happens.
Be mindful enough to slow down, reflect and respond.
Yeah, maybe
instead
don't
of
react to
reacting
your
emotionally.
emotions. Exactly.
Yeah. Oh,
Let's
so
put a little thought
emotional
into this.
sobriety,
Yeah.
that piece, learning to detach.
Dude,
Oh yeah,
that's tough.
detaching from my emotions and just letting
I'm
things be.
literally-
Ooh, I have a lot of-
I'm learning that one right now.
Oh yeah.
I felt like my just emotional sobriety. I felt like my chemical sobriety was worthless. I was emotionally sober.
Totally, dude.
You know, like what good is it?
Yeah.
I'm still in the spirituality side of things. And you said something. Golly, I feel like we're reading every poster off of every.
Oh, I know.
But they're so
I worked in the
they're so
industry,
true.
so I see them all.
Well, they're
Yeah.
cliches for a reason. dude.
Progress, not perfection.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not trying to figure it all out. I'm just trying to take a step today. Or just stand still.
Easy does.
Yeah.
And keep it simple.
Yeah.
Dude, what was it? What's the old saying? It's like practice makes perfection. Or practice makes perfect. Dude, it was my daughter was in kindergarten, and she goes, "Dad, it's not practice makes perfect. It's practice makes progress." And I was like, "Yeah, girl, get some." Yeah. So,
I made that. Yeah.
but dude, so at the end of every episode, well, first of all, let me back up. I just want to say thank you,
Dude,
Yeah.
yes.
Like for real, what a powerful testimony, for real, man.
Yeah.
And we are just so grateful, you know, to have you here this morning. And so as part of our structure here, we had our last guest write down a question for you. So if you would, and it was Duke, he didn't write his name, it was Duke Rumley. So if you want to read the question and then answer it, that would be awesome.
What is God doing for you that you cannot do for yourself?
I feel like it's a pretty fitting question.
It's crazy how relevant these questions actually are.
Oh yeah. I mean, everything. Really, you know, as soon as I can open my eyes and realize that I'm not in control, right? It's being able to surrender my will, and I love the prayer you said at the beginning, Elliot, and to me that almost seemed like the I'll just third step prayer. I'll say it. Yeah. But we say it in our own words and this and that, and yours got real specific to certain things, and I love that part. But that's the things that God is doing for me, and it's just me being willing to allow that to happen.
Dude, that is the key, bro, right there, is allowing it, because so many times we don't feel like we deserve it, and we don't. And the fact of the matter is, none of us do, right? None of us deserve even a breath of life.
Yeah.
But because Jesus died on the cross for us, and because of that love, like, we get to experience these things. And just coming at life with that perspective, man, it's like, it changes everything. Yeah. So, like,
Dude, thank you so much.
like, I don't even.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
You didn't hold back. You were very vulnerable. I'm so grateful for your story. And it's your story. It really is, man. It's just you tack that story on, and then one person hears that, and I know that one person will hear something you said today.
I hope so.
I know it, dude. That's why we're here in the space. Like, that's, we're not out here just doing this because it feels good and it's the right thing to do. Like we're called to steward this space, and you answered the call today. So I want to say thank you for that, bro.
So I love what you guys are doing here. I've always told Elliot you're a part of something really big here, and
Thank you.
trying to find new avenues and directions of, recovery's come a long way in over even the last 10, 15 years. It's crazy. I think you guys are really doing something great here.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I really appreciate it. Thanks, Elliot.
Well, with that, guys, we are going to wrap up today's episode. Man, I'm just like,
Heavy, right?
yeah, kind of heavy, but also like, I don't know, dude. I just feel good. I'm just ready to go.
Whoa.
Take on the
Save the world, dude.
So 11:20, my phone was like turned there and it said 1:20. I was like, I got my thing.
you're like, oh, shit.
I gotta go.
Yeah, no,
I was
you're
like,
good.
I talked for that long?
No, you're
Okay.
good. We have plenty of time. But we just want to say thank you guys for tuning in, for subscribing. Our subscriber counts have been going way up on YouTube, so you guys are amazing. Thank you. We love you all. We're here if you need us. Love Shack. Come find us. Otherwise, we'll see you next week. Later.